John Slattery is known for his razor-sharp wit, magnetic screen presence, and the ability to make even the smallest detail sound like a story worth retelling. And now, the Mad Men alum has fans buzzing again after revealing a little-known moment from his early career, the day he unknowingly crossed paths with one of his Nuremberg co-stars long before they ever shared a scene together. What started as a forgotten footnote in his life ended up becoming a surprising moment of full-circle Hollywood magic. John Slattery has spent decades in front of the camera, commanding every project with that signature mix of intellect, charm, and dry humor that made his portrayal of Roger Sterling on Mad Men unforgettable. But what many fans didn't expect was for the actor to drop a nostalgic, almost serendipitous revelation about his past, one connected to the critically acclaimed 2000 TNT miniseries Nuremberg. While reflecting on the experience of revisiting such a heavy, historically charged production, Slattery mentioned a detail that quickly captured attention. He had actually met one of his Nuremberg co-stars years before filming, and almost forgot it even happened. According to Slattery, the encounter was brief, blink and you miss it brief, but in hindsight, it felt strangely meaningful. The two had crossed paths at an industry event early in their careers, both young, hungry, and still figuring out their place in Hollywood. Slattery admitted that he didn't think about it again until long after Nuremberg was wrapped, when a memory resurfaced and made him realize, wait a second, we've met before. He didn't name the co-star directly with the intention of letting the spotlight remain on the story rather than the person, but fans have been speculating wildly, especially considering Nuremberg featured a star-studded cast including Alec Baldwin, Brian Cox, Christopher Plummer, Jill Hennessy, and others. Each actor played a critical role in bringing the War Crimes Tribunal narrative to life, and the project remains a standout in the careers of many involved. Slattery recalled that the earlier encounter happened during a crowded, somewhat chaotic New York City gathering, the kind of event young actors attend hoping to make connections, meet casting directors, and maybe land their next job. He said he remembered the co-star being polite, incredibly focused, and clearly going places, even if at the time neither of them could have guessed they'd later share one of the most intense dramatic sets of their careers. What makes the anecdote so compelling is not just the random Hollywood coincidence, but how Slattery described the sensation of realizing the connection years later. It wasn't an epiphany he had during production. It wasn't a moment that changed the course of the project. Instead, it was the kind of delayed recognition that only nostalgia can unearth, a slow burn of memory that hits you when you least expect it. He joked that if he'd remembered the meeting at the time, he would have probably used it as an icebreaker on set. I would have said, hey, remember when we bumped into each other pretending to look cooler than we actually were? But maybe it's better that I didn't. It kept me from embarrassing myself. Working on Nuremberg, Slattery has said, was both challenging and artistically rewarding. The roles required immense emotional weight, given the subject matter, the post-World War II trials of prominent Nazis. He portrayed Thomas Dodd, the American prosecutor whose pursuit of justice shaped one of the most defining legal moments in modern history. Slattery has often emphasized how deeply the cast immersed themselves in the characters, meticulously studying real historical figures and spending long days filming intense courtroom scenes. So realizing later that he had once crossed paths with a co-star added a strange but charming layer to an already unforgettable chapter of his career. What fans love most about Slattery's storytelling style is how he manages to weave humor into everything, even a story rooted in heavy historical drama. He's the first to acknowledge that Hollywood is filled with intersecting paths, forgotten introductions, and meetings that only make sense in retrospect. But even so, he admitted that the moment felt special, like a tiny piece of destiny nudging their careers together. Slattery reflected that as actors move through the industry, they encounter countless faces, some they forget, some they remember, and some they unknowingly meet again years later under completely different circumstances. But there's something especially poetic about realizing you shared a room with someone long before collaborating on a project that would leave such an emotional impact. He described the experience as a reminder of how small the acting world truly is, how careers can evolve, collide, and reconnect in unexpected ways. While the encounter itself lasted only a few minutes, the memory now feels like a charming prelude to a much more meaningful artistic partnership. For fans of Slattery, the revelation reignited admiration for his grounded, thoughtful approach to storytelling. Whether he's discussing major roles, his early hustle, or random brushes with future co-stars, he brings a relatable honesty that stands out in an industry often dominated by curated narratives. And for anyone following Hollywood careers, the story offers a simple truth. Sometimes the most memorable chapters of a star's journey begin long before cameras start rolling, in quick interactions, forgotten moments, and brief encounters that only make sense years later.